Sometimes you'll be fine.
Oh my gosh, we're live. Hello, everybody. Hi, welcome to AetherFlows Healing Podcast. My name is Gina, and I have with me a very special guest. His name is Hogarth, or may I please call you Hoagie?
Of course. Yes, please do. Please do.
Excellent. So yeah, this is my first live, and we are both just like dripping with sweat. It's so hot. Oh my goodness. And so everybody, thank you for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the show. I wrote down a ton of questions, but I'm wondering, what would you like to do?
First of all, thank you so much for having me on, and forgive me, guys, for looking kind of a bit disheveled and sweaty. I've literally just come from playing tennis, and I attended a birthday party, which I thought was happening today. Turns out it's tomorrow. So that was a big kind of detour. So I'm here in a hot flush. And if you wouldn't mind, I'm just going to turn my fan on just so I can be a little bit
you
cool.
can turn a fan on? I turned all my fans
here.
off. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. It's so great to see everybody here. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited because I have been following Hogarth's global astrology since, gosh, I want to say like 2019 or 2020. I saw you very early on. You were doing a collaboration with Diane's Tarot. And I think you might have had like maybe 100 subscribers.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah. And I was like, this guy's awesome. I love him. And so, yeah.
Really? Wow.
I'm a super fan. Yeah. Oh, you're glitching out just a tiny bit.
Thanks so much for having me on. And it's a real. Sure. It's a real pleasure. So yeah, forgive me everyone for the crop top, but it's literally I've just dashed here. Oh, we've got a few people here in the chat, and yeah, so feel free to ask any questions that you want about obviously Neo-Vedic astrology or tarot, and of course current events. As you know, my channel is a current events channel, and I actually started in 2020 actually, and Diane's Tarot was one of the first people that I collaborated with, so I'm grateful to her, because that really helps my channel grow. And since then it is just steadily grown. You probably know already I have a regular show called Hogelish, or it tends to be a combination of the first two letters of whoever's collaborating on the show, and that's become a very popular show. And yeah, my channel's almost at 30,000 subscribers now, so that's not too bad. So it's just been a natural. Say again.
Oh, that's nothing to sneeze
at. Say again. I missed that. Thank you. But it's been very natural. It's been very organic. I've never really kind of done, any gimmicks or anything like that. The people that want my content are the ones that tune in, and they enjoy it. But I'm very, very grateful. So yeah, feel free to ask away, and I'll answer as best I can.
All right. So I've always been interested in. Well, I've thought to myself at certain points in watching your videos, like, how did you get into this? Were you just a little kid who was really into mysteries and the occult, and that was kind of a way to escape, and it turned into kind of this, like, your life now? Astrology is your life. And so I've always wondered, like, what kind of kid were you?
Good question. I was a very unusual one, folks. A very unusual kid. And it's funny you should say that, because so I used to go to this primary school called Holy Trinity. It was Church of England. Yeah, we would say C of E in the UK, Church of England. And we used to have this head teacher called Mr. Crease. who is actually a little bit scandalous. And actually, his name was actually very appropriate for the things that he got up to anyway. But I'll let the audience use their imaginations on that one. But one of my other friends that I went to school with, somehow he was able to be at Mr. Crease's deathbed. Sadly, this is years ago, though. This is a long time ago, probably back in the 90s. And apparently he mentioned me on his deathbed, and he said, if you see Hogarth, do send him a message from me, and said, let him know that he was one of the most interesting little boys I've ever met in my life.
Oh my goodness. I'm sure you
it's
were.
quite remarkable. I was a very, very precocious kid, always asking questions. I didn't have a childhood. My mother was very challenging, and my mother actually suffered from schizophrenia. And it wasn't subtle either, but she taught me how to read. And one of the things that I really loved from all the books that she gave me was the books on Greek and Roman mythology. And it was reading Greek and Roman mythology, then I realized, first of all, it was all about psychology. And there was a story in there which was talking about this. I'll put this in my book, which is called The Candid Guide to Neo-Vedic Astrology, if anyone's curious about it. I'll link it in the video description of this show. And anyway, it was about this king who did something awful. And part of his punishment, he was to be tormented by like the Furies or the Aeonids, I think they called them.
Yeah.
And then I realized, I was like, wow, my mother is kind of being tormented. You know, she's not a bad person, but I this is just something she's dealing with. But I realized as a kid that it wasn't my fault that my mother wasn't well. And that was a profound breakthrough for me. That was when I was around about 8 years old. And from that point, I realized that the gods were also the planets. So that got me interested in astronomy, and then astrology, and then numerology, and all the different ologies, psychology, everything as a tool to help understand my mother and my situation, but also everyone else. And it grew from there. So my love of astrology genuinely began when I was about 8 years old. Just put my phone on airplane mode.
That is brilliant. That is so interesting that you not only, I mean, I don't think a lot of kids out there would be 8 years old reading books about astrology. I mean, I kind of did the same thing as well. I was really into ghosts and ley lines and like the stone tape theory and Sasquatch. I was really obsessed with Sasquatch when I was a kid. But to have that realization about your mother at 8 years old, I think it's amazing. I mean, as you know, because you've done my chart and we've had a consultation before. My mother also suffered
years
with,
ago.
a couple of years ago now.
Yeah.
She suffered with mental illness, and you were able to read that straight from the chart. You honestly said, you were like, your mother is, I'm sorry to say this, but she's demented. And it took me aback, but it was just like, wow, how could you see that from the chart? And so my question to you is, what kind of life lessons, or have you seen any sort of patterns with people who have that kind of placement in their chart with family members who are, you know, they suffer with certain challenges? Have you noticed any sort of patterns on like what kind of life paths maybe we would lead later on by having that experience?
Absolutely. And just to checking, how is my lighting? Can you see me clearly? To me, looking at the screen. Okay, good. I just want to check that the lighting is okay. Yes. You can see these things in the chart. So to give you an overview. Here we are. This is a good example. So I've got here's one of my clients this week. Yeah, I'll hide their name, which is up here. But these are the charts I create for people, and I always use yellow paper. Now, the lines that you see here, I hand illustrate those lines. When the print comes out, it's just literally just the black ink on the paper, but I draw these lines, which are called drishti, which means planetary sight. But what it is, when I'm reading a chart, and this is what I'm going to be teaching as well, because I've got a retreat coming up on the 7th to the 10th of November in Ibiza, in this beautiful place called Agua Madera. So again, if anyone's interested in that, I'll put links to that in the video description. But what I'm going to be teaching is that planets are people. They really are. So these charts I jealously guard. Yeah, I always keep them in folders. Yeah, folders like this.
Yeah, right.
I keep one on my computer and one in the cloud, because what this is a person's soul contract. It really is. We do have free will, but there are certain things in Vedic astrology we referred to as samskaras. And a samskara is a fate that a person is not able to avoid. Yeah, it's just something we have to deal with. And with this concept of planets are people, so you have the planets. So let's start with the sun and moon. That's the obvious one. The sun represents the kingdom you're building this lifetime, whether you're aware of it or not. It's how you are showing up in the world. It shows you this lifetime where the spark of the divine is. It really is your divine spark of your soul. But the sun will also represent the physical body of the father. And it really is. It really will be your dad. The moon represents our mind and emotions overall, how we're getting our needs met, our everyday preferences, our resting state of mind, our preoccupations. Some of our gifts and talents as well can be shown in the moon, but the moon is always the mother, always the mother archetype, sometimes mother too. So when I'm looking at a chart, it's like a cross between reading a sheet of music and looking at a Rubik's cube. I see the person's life four-dimensionally, and I call it four-dimensional astrology. So when I look at the moon, the sign the moon is in, the house the moon is in, the nakshatra the moon is in, and who is with the moon, it will tell me lots of things about the mother. And there are certain things, and if I remember correctly, like, for example, you have the sign of Gemini. The moon does very well in Gemini because it likes Mercury. Yeah, Mercury is considered a love child of the moon in the Vedic astrology. But the point is, whenever the moon is in Virgo or Gemini or aspected by Mercury or Uranus, it will speed up. Gemini is a very quick, furious, intelligent sign. So when the moon is in Gemini, for example, it will show the native is intelligent, but it will also show the mother is intelligent too. However, in the middle of Gemini, there is a nakshatra called Ardra. Yeah, so Gemini is made up of Mrigashira, which is the search for beauty, Purnavasu, which is the return of the light, but in the middle is Ardra, and I call it Drama Ardra. Whenever the moon is in Drama Ardra, the mother will be dramatic. She will. That's what I've got in my chart. And what it means is the deity of this nakshatra, because there's deities in these nakshatra, these star clusters, and the deity here is called Rudra, which is the god of storms, the howling winds. So it's a very tumultuous nakshatra, and it's ruled by Rahu. So anytime the moon is there, or if the sun is there, it means the dad is dramatic. It will almost always talk about some kind of troubling of the mind for the parent. The native will get the benefit, will get the intelligence of it. They will get the wit. They will get the gift of the gab. Ardra as a nakshatra is very good for business. When I look at business people's charts, very often Ardra will be there. So it's excellent for business. But when the sun or the moon is there, there is an issue with that parent. And I've got my moon in Ardra in the 12th house. And the 12th house I refer to as the land of far, far away. It means to cross an ocean, travel, foreign lands. But it also means prisons and hospitals. It can mean it's also a house of endings and separation. So, of course, with my moon Being in Ardra in the 12th house, I lost my mother young. She was only 49 years old when she passed. Yeah. So I'm
Wow.
getting close to her age now, believe it or not. And a lot of us siblings were like, oh God, will we outlive mum? Everyone thinks that. So she was a very brilliant woman, but she was a very troubled woman. But at the same time, that moon in the 12th house has given me extraordinary adventures and travels and amazing experiences and stuff like that. It's difficult nakshatra, but it's also really has its pros as well. So that just gives you a little flavor.
Yeah, exactly. If you can learn the lesson and kind of get the key and move up to the next level, I feel like that's what a lot of those life challenges are about. For me, with my mother, instead of having this deeper understanding of it's not my fault, it's her story, but it's also for me to understand that I am my own person and all of that. I had to just kind of cut ties and spent a long time separated from in no contact with my mother. And so kind of just recently am I learning that lesson for myself. So I think it's amazing that you at 8 years old, like what an insightful child, I swear. Let me see. I wrote down. Let me see. I wrote down a bunch of I was so proud of myself. I wrote down so many great questions. All right. Do you believe the celestial movements are a map we follow, or are they more of a mirror reflecting what's already inside of us?
Oh, that is a great question. And I would say it's a bit of both. So let me see if I've got my little crystal thing here. Yes, I have. All right, I'm just going to polish this off so at least it has a bit of gleam and a bit of shine. So as you know already, like I literally meditate on the planets. I've got a very unusual chart, very, very unusual chart. It's a very lucky chart as well. And in my chart, all the planets are main planets are direct. Yeah, I think my series might be retrograde or something like that, but that doesn't quite count in that sense when you're looking at the impacts of things on a chart. So what I always say to my clients is I get my little crystal here and I say a planet is like a crystal. Yeah. So you see this crystal has its facets and its structure, and each crystal has its own characteristics. And of course, that crystal, as it were, is moving through the sky, and the light of the stars, which we call Shakti in Vedic astrology, is refracting through that planet. Yeah. That's why when there's certain planets are in certain nakshatras, that planet will be flavored by that nakshatra because it's really talking about the starlight. So you can imagine that. Okay. So imagine if this was planet Saturn and it's going through the constellations, the light of the stars will blend with the energy of Saturn, and that will contribute to the Shakti. So it will flavor it. So it's like the planet gets flavored and it will also flavor the light. But planets are also like radio stations, and they broadcast their highest to lowest frequencies simultaneously. We as human beings are the antennae, and we receive that energy, that influence from the planets. But the level at which we respond depends on our personal vibration. Yeah, do you see? So for example, if we think of a planet like Pluto, for example, this is a very important planet right now because America is going through its first Pluto return. Yeah. And this happens every 248 years. And the official Pluto return, according to Vedic astrology, began on the 1st of January, 2021. And we all know what happened 5 days later. Yeah.
Right.
We had January the 6th, and the world has not been the same since. Yeah. So Pluto is the god of the underworld. He stirs the depth. He deals with the collective unconscious. Anything that is unprocessed starts to be revealed with Pluto. This is why it can be such a difficult planet. Whenever a planet returns in your chart, like you said, it's like a reflection. It's a bit like a mirror. So everything that was not dealt with since that planet was on its journey has to be dealt with when it returns.
Right.
Now, Pluto is a fascinating planet. Yeah. I call Pluto the Alpha Omega planet. He is the darkest planet, but he can be the brightest planet. He represents the worst of what humanity can do, really the worst. War, crime, slavery, rape, pillage, the whole shebang. Yeah, all this awful stuff. But Pluto can also represent the best of what humanity can do as well. Pluto is mea culpa, transcendence, forgiveness, turning the lead into gold. However, because of that principle, the planet's broadcasting its lowest to highest vibration, too many people are still on the lower vibration.
And that's what they'll pick up.
Right. That's what they pick up. So if you think Pluto, god of the underworld, is always going to dredge everything up. It's always the lowest vibration that comes first, but it's in sidereal Capricorn. Western astrology is 24 degrees ahead. They're saying Aquarius. But in terms of astronomically, according to NASA, it's actually in Capricorn. Capricorn as a sign deals with government, business, top-down structures. Pluto is where we get the name plutocrat from, deals with oligarchy. So before he moved in, I said, guys, we're going to have to deal with oligarchs interfering in government. But I was saying this a few years ago, yeah, before the energy fully manifested. Now we can all see. What have we seen? Elon Musk, Doge, yeah. Look at the so-called big, beautiful bill. Horrendous, yeah. Do you know what I learned today? You know what I learned today? This is extraordinary. And then you can answer your next question, but this is extraordinary. My friend Sarah sent me a little clip, which was from YouTube or TikTok, I can't remember. And there was this famous comedian talking with this other panel. And it was talking about how just recently, some American food companies are going to change the chemical composition of a lot of their foods so Ozempic doesn't work anymore.
What? Wow.
Think about that. Just
That's incredible.
Because of course people are using Ozempic, you know, because they need help losing weight, etc. They are losing weight. They're making what? Healthier choices. They're getting slimmer. They're getting fitter. Yeah. And that means they're going to need less what? Less medicines. Do you see how it works? Like, wow, that is Pluto in Capricorn. Do you see the underbelly of corporate intentions? So I just let you simmer with that for a few minutes.
Garish and evil, I swear. Sherry wants to know if anyone else in your family has psychic abilities or an interest in astrology.
So someone here is saying, Suzanne Chin is asking, Hoagie, how did the competition go? Did you win? Yeah, I did win a few matches actually today. It was good. I played pretty good today. So I'm pleased with that. Didn't do so well in my tournament in Germany, but that's another thing. So they were asking, is anyone else psychic? The answer to that is yes, on both sides. I always knew my mum had gifts because I witnessed them as a kid.
Oh, wow.
And I'm talking like bona fide, proper supernatural experiences. Like, Gina, I'm not joking, like doors shaking and all of this kind of stuff. And my mum
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, she dabbled. Yeah, she dabbled. But when she passed, she came to me in dreams, and because she passed in the year 2000, and she was just showing me her life. Like my mum, it turns out she was like doing like the equivalent of like an advanced diploma in terms of on the other side, because her life was so challenging, but she passed the test and she was showing me. It was incredible. I've got
Wow.
it's remarkable. And just to give you a little insight, you've just triggered a memory. A lot of my clients that come to me have psychic gifts, and they can, they can see people on the other side. And 3 of my clients, not all together, but 3 spread over a couple of years, I was doing a consultation reading on them. I was like, oh, you've got psychic gifts. I can see it in your chart. And each of them said, there's a woman standing behind you. I think it's your mother. Yeah. And they gave me some messages, and it was remarkable. And my mum, and this gave me such comfort. And my mum said to me, when you were a little boy, you were so unusual. I didn't understand you. I didn't understand what you were about. But she said, now I'm like on the other side. I'm being the mother to you now that I wasn't able to be when I was alive. Oh, isn't that a beautiful message?
Yeah. I love that.
And she's still looking after me. So my mum definitely had gifts. And then with my dad, what I found out with him later on, and this is something my sister told me. So both my parents are from Jamaica. They were British, but Jamaican, because back then Jamaica was a colony of the UK. Anyway, one of my sisters on my dad's side told me, the reason why Dad likes to smoke his spliffs and stuff, it's to stop the dreams. My dad would get psychic dreams just like I get psychic dreams. So I was like, aha! It's on Pop's side as well. So both. I got both.
That's brilliant. I wouldn't doubt if there was a connection between like schizophrenia and clairaudience, clairvoyance. I feel like it's kind of similar, but maybe there are some wires that get crossed, because it does get confused a lot of times. And a lot of people are really afraid when they start hearing their guides that they're, somehow going crazy or something like that. But I could definitely see a combination or some sort of like just wirings getting crisscrossed in your neural net as far as, hearing stuff. And so, my mother, she's very creative and very, very charming, but I don't know if she had psychic gifts, but I definitely wouldn't doubt it. So
and you can see it in the chart as well. You can,
well, you can, definitely. I have a question about, what do the current alignments say about where humanity is headed? I know it's a big question. It's a huge question.
I mean, we really are in some times. We really are in a remarkable time here on planet Earth. And you may know this already, but I often share this with clients. And the Chinese have a proverb, which they say to people that they really detest. And in China, one of the things they can say to you if they really don't like you, they say, "May you live in interesting times." And I think it's fair to say we are living in interesting times.
Yes.
What is that we are reaching a stage now in humanity where we are really starting to see the reality checks. So of course, Western tropical astrology is 24 degrees ahead, but I always say a good astrologer is a good astrologer. At the end of the day, the ratio between the planets is still the same. Oh, getting a download. I've got a ringing. Wow, I've got a ringing in my ear. So the ratio is still the same, but of course the sign placement and the nakshatra really does mean a lot. And of course, this is America's first Pluto return. And really this only happens when every 248 years, like I said. And as we know, America is going to be 250 years old next year.
Right.
So we're here bearing witness in a time period that many, many generations have not faced before. Yeah. In a way, we are all spectators to really quite extraordinary events. What's happening is what Pluto is doing by going through Capricorn, it is showing what all of the corruption of what the corporate world. We've seen the corporate media, all the sane washing. I mean, you know, apart from Rachel Maddow here and there, and you know, and what's her name? The black lady with the short hair. She's just gone out of my head. Who got sacked from MSNBC? Joy Reid. Yeah, Joy Reid. Who's now started her own YouTube channel. You're noticing, have you seen this trend where you have these very popular news anchors that are now setting themselves up as independents on YouTube because they don't want that corporate control anymore, telling them exactly what to do. Yeah. Look at Foxtrot News, yeah, for entertainment purposes only. Completely corporate propaganda. But they're so propaganda that even Rupert Murdoch, who keeps trying to throw Trump under the bus, they keep resisting. Yeah. If you look at, you know, Big Pharma, for example, you know, and just this revelation recently where, you know, a lot of these big food companies are going to be changing the formulation on, like, I think it's on Doritos, to keep them as addictive as possible, to get around people losing weight on a Ozempic. Do you see? That's Pluto. That's God of the underworld. That is the lowest vibration.
Absolutely.
So we're having to work through Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto in Genoa is all about alchemy. We have to see the ugly in order to make the changes. When Pluto, with casting our mind back, was in Sagittarius, which deals with spirituality and religion, this is when we were dealing with what? All of the scandals of the church. There was also what? The jihadist beheadings. Yeah. Sagittarius is the sign of what? Religion, but also fanaticism. Do you see? That's where the shadow was. Now we're getting it all in what? The corporate world. And also as well, Neptune and Saturn are together at the moment in sidereal Pisces. Neptune deals with illusions and delusions and cults. Saturn is the planet of reality. They're now together at the same degree and loose change. They're in the same bed. What are we seeing? All of these reality shocks. Have you been noticing on the internet how many people are just like, I didn't vote for this? And we're like, really? Like, he was actually relatively honest in the campaign.
Right.
You know, he said, you know,
most of us saw through it. Yeah.
I just want your vote.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how could people not see that? That's because part of that is that energy of Neptune, people not wanting to see, but Saturn is the planet of reality. When Saturn strikes, we all have to face that reality. So you have a lot of people that are in the cult and they are being challenged, but there's other realities as well. You know, we have to give, you know, the Democrats are getting a bit of a side eye as well. Yeah, because this is an open goal here. This is an open sewer. Yeah, exactly. It's an open sewer. And yet, you know, when we look at, you know, Hakeem Jeffries and, you know, certain bit of Chuck Schumer, you're like, and then you've got Mamdani, who did very well. And why won't they endorse him? Yeah. And then when you look back, you see they're getting, you know, backhanders.
Well, I saw even in for his campaigns, the Democrats were like altering his photo so that his beard was longer and his skin tone was darker to like try to make him seem like more, like make him seem like a terrorist or, you know, like that sort of under the radar sort of
Arab,
you know? Like a subconscious sort of thing.
Really? Do you see that such?
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't get it. Well, people just want to hold the line and keep things as they are so that they can make money. And even in my own state with Governor Whitmer, it's been a lot of news has been coming out that she's been putting people into her boards that are just towing the line and not trying to pass any sort of like environmental laws, or it's just disgusting. Like, you obviously don't care about your state. You just,
Whitmer, God, I thought she was supposed to be one of the good ones.
Crazy.
Wow.
I know, I was very disappointed. So, but at the end of the day, they're politicians, and I feel like this is part of it. We have to see all of the undercurrent, all of the darkness. Everything has to be made very apparent before people want to change. So, yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with what you're saying
about there. Yeah, it is the message of Pluto. Pluto always does this. And what Pluto is revealing is Pluto will always reveal the true power structures of something. Now we're seeing the corporate interests. And look, just so you know, it's not just America, by the way. So I don't want people to think this is one giant America bash. No, of course not. It's everywhere. We see how big business and pharma has infiltrated all governments around the world. But it's just in the United States, it is now explicitly so, because America is having its first Pluto return. So the mirror is being held up. Yeah, Pluto is just showing, and it's in a way, it's kind of like a dark light. It's like, you know, like every planet emits some kind of light, but Pluto for me, you know, when you're in a club and it's like the neon lights, or they call it black lighting. There's only certain things that you can see in black lighting. Do you know what I mean? That's like when the stains all show up and all the, like, everyone's like, oh, what's that? Or you see the fake teeth or the whatever. Yeah. So Pluto is like, it's kind of flooding the zone with this sort of like black light, dark light. And now we're seeing stuff come up. Like you said, you're discovering stuff about Whitmer, for example, and thanks to that information, because obviously I'm in the UK and I'm seeing other stuff, but I think the overall message is that we're all getting is like, the problem is the billionaires. You know, Americans have effectively not had any a decent, when you take into account inflation, Americans have not had a wage increase. I think it's since the back end of the 70s, and
very long time.
That might be quite consecutive. Certainly since, let's say, certainly since Reagan times. I think that's fair. Wages have not significantly gone up, and it's not a coincidence. It's on purpose.
Absolutely, I feel like incrementally we have been giving our own power away, but also letting others take it. And now a lot of us feel like it's normal to have 2 or 3 jobs just in order to pay your rent. Like, no, that's not normal. That's not how it should be, you know? But I have a question, and I just thought of it.
Another country.
So in all of these very chaotic times, I'm wondering, how do you keep centered? Do you have any daily practices that you use to keep yourself clear and centered and stable, like grounded?
Yeah, I do. And someone just here, Sherry, saying, so what about us diabetics? Yeah, and she's saying WTF.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Because, you know, look, Biden lowered the price of insulin. He did. That was a very good thing that he did. Obviously, with this big thing, and the fact it's called the Big Beautiful Bill is even more of a slap in the face.
Oh my God!
Unfortunately, yes, the price of that is likely to go up. And someone here is saying that's hysterical. Big Pharma is so corrupt. Yeah. And then Grace Gilbert is saying, make people addicted or sick so you can make them better. Yeah, or give them more money. In terms of my practice, it's challenging because, you know, I'm very connected to the United States. Like my granddad was American, for example. He was American. I've been to America, I think it's 6 times now. And of the 50 states, I visited 25.
Wow.
The vast majority of my clients are based in America. They're from all over the world, but they're based in America. So I am absolutely steeped in all things American. So, I can't even escape it, even if I wanted to, because it's there. I've got friends in WhatsApp groups who are, which I'm giving advice to deal with the transformations, etc. It is a lot. Pluto return is a very intense thing for a nation to go through. On top of that, America is also going through its Rahu Dasha, which means Rahu, the energy of Rahu is driving the car for the whole nation. And
Right.
Rahu deals with liars, cheats, outrageousness, poisons, the whole shebang. That's the lower vibration. And America is also going through Sadi Sati as well, which is when Saturn is one sign from the moon with the moon and one sign after. It's now one sign after, but it's often referred to in Vedic astrology as 7 years of trials. Yeah. So there's a lot going on. What do I try and do? I play tennis. Yeah. Because when I'm on the tennis court, truly, I'm not thinking of anything. I'm just playing the game. I'm normally thinking about my serve, trying to get my serve in, and then trying to win the point. And we play doubles every week. So tennis is one of my main escapes. It's also great exercise as well, good for the blood sugar. And then hanging out with my friends. So like being in the park, having a picnic, playing mulki. But but if I'm at home or even abroad, I'm always going to be looking at the news and keeping updated, because there is so much transformation and change, not really in a good way at the moment. You can't really be out of it. And particularly as well with the YouTube as well, I've come to see like this, like people have really bonded, on my channel. It's a real community. Everyone comes in. You can see in the comments, we chew the card, we discuss things, we debate. In many ways, it's like therapy for people as well. They get to meet like-minded people, but also as well, I get insights, extra understanding. I'm such an intelligent audience. They're very well informed. They always give me updates on what's going on. And then the people I collaborate with. So really, it's tennis, time with friends, and playing this game called, I think it's called King. What's it called? It's this little app. I shouldn't play it too much because I play it too late at night, but it helps me unwind. It's Royal Match. That's what it's called. Royal Match. This little thing. This is my guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
And you build kingdoms and you puzzles.
That is hilarious. That's not exactly what I was thinking. I thought you would say something like, "Oh, I meditate 3 hours a day" or something, but no, the moving meditation. I remember when I was younger, I was a chef for a long time, and my favorite part of being in the kitchen was when it was just tickets, just totally slammed, and you don't have time to think, and it turns into this beautiful moving meditation almost, where it's just your mind is blank and you're just doing it. You're in the zone, and I miss that. I do. I'm thinking about getting into like Tai Chi or something, because I think it might be similar, or maybe Qigong. But yeah, I love the moving meditation.
I recommend it. Wow. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Like, because I used to work in events before in the past. And the events would be so busy, like you said, like there reaches times where you're so busy, you are just consumed in it. But like you said, you are zen, because you know what you need to do, and it just becomes automatic. Right. And then you look around and you're like, wow, 12 hours have gone. And it can be like a meditation. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it breaks your brain, but other times you get into the zone and you're just like, everything is so slow and it's beautiful. Let me see. I have a couple other really great questions. Let's see. Sure. Oh, here's a good one. If you could read the chart of any figure in history or even in mythology, who would it be and why?
Ooh. Oh, do you know what comes to mind? Someone I would love to sit down and do a consultation for would be Cleopatra.
Oh, brilliant.
That just came to mind. Imagine the conversations you could have with Cleopatra. She was obviously the queen of Egypt. She kind of had to do away with her brother in order to become effectively pharaoh. She was extremely cultured and very well educated, and they say very beautiful, great beauty of her time. And she had not one but two effective sort of like emperors, really, wasn't it? Because there was Julius Caesar, and then there was, what was the other one? He wasn't he wasn't emperor, but he was a great general. What was it? Oh my God, what was he called? There was Julius Caesar, and there was the other one.
I can't remember.
No. Alexander the Great. He'd already because he died at 33.
Mark Antony.
It was Alexander the Great. Mark Antony. That's it. Mark Antony.
Oxford Cat said
yeah,
Mark
Alexander
Antony.
the Great.
Thank you.
There we are. Because I was actually listening to the audiobook, which was about yeah, exactly. It was about the Caesars, and there was this bit where Julius, before he became Caesar, he was looking at the statue. He was like, I think he was like in his mid-40s, and he was looking at the statue of Alexander the Great, and he was almost weeping with anger because he was like, here I am in my middle age, and this guy had already conquered the world in his 20s. So Julius was like, I'm determined, you know. And in the end, you know, Julius Caesar, obviously he was very wicked, but when you learn about his life, he really was an extraordinary character, and so was Augustus that came after him. I'm talking like real Ubermensch, like they could do extraordinary things, and the omens and the supernatural stuff. But yeah, if I could sit someone down for dinner and read their chart, Cleopatra, can you imagine the stories?
No, I can't. Even have you been to Egypt? I can't remember. Have you been there?
No, not yet. I will go one day. Yeah, I really would like to go.
Even looking at the pictures of the Pyramid of Giza, at anything Egyptian, honestly, I get just waves of energy downloads. I would love to go to Egypt sometime and just soak in the energies, because I'm sure all of us who are living today have probably had at least one life in Egypt.
Yeah. And I can see Egypt in people's charts. I'll let you into a little secret.
Yeah. Do tell.
One of the things what I found, I've done a lot of consultations now. I did consultations before, but I've been blessed with YouTube to be able to work at scale. So I've done over 2,000 consultations now. And there is certain stuff that is not in the books. Yeah, not in the books. You can only learn empirically. And what I found is this, particularly when the moon is in sidereal Taurus, the person is almost always fascinated by Egypt. Now, it could be any planet, if it's Jupiter, if it's, it could be Mars, whatever. But what I found is when it's the moon in particular, and I was asking myself this question, I'm like, why is it that all my clients who have the moon in Taurus, why are they so fascinated by Egypt? Literally, one was an Egyptologist. Another one was studying the calligraphy with the hieroglyphs. Another one had been there multiple times up in the balloons. Other ones were planning and all of this kind of stuff. And I'm like, what is it? And I've got nicknames for everything. And my nickname for Taurus, I call it the Gaia portion. Yeah, I call it the Gaia portion. Taurus is the feminine expression of Venus. Libra is the masculine expression. So what is Taurus is an earth sign, as you know, but I found Taurus is the most earthly of the earth signs. It literally deals with fruits,
Right.
vegetables, meat, asset classes of all kinds, arts, particularly sculpture, also the voice, singing, money, savings, all of this kind of stuff. And I was like, but why are all my clients who have this moon here, why are they so interested in Egypt? And then it dawned on me. I was like, oh, of course. The constellation of Orion is in sidereal Taurus. Orion
Oh,
lines up with what?
yeah.
Yeah.
The
The,
Giza
the
pyramids.
The Giza pyramids line up with
Yep.
the constellation of Orion. Anyone who's got
Wow.
their moon there, the moon deals with the mind overall. It also deals with our talents and our gifts. K2 would do it as well, which is our past lives. I guarantee you, people who have planets in Taurus, particularly the moon, they will be fascinated by Egypt. And I'm convinced it's to do with past lives. Maybe they were from the Orion Nebula at some, or what have you. But I just thought I'd give you that tasty bit.
That is so cool. I love that. I should have you read my chart again because I think I forgot almost all of what you said. But I should do. It was a while ago too. But you do all sorts of different readings. Like you do what? Relationship readings, you do financial readings, you do business readings. I definitely want to do a business reading because I am
Sure.
starting a new business, but I feel a little bit overwhelmed with how to do it. So maybe I'll sit down and get some advice from you.
Oh, sure. You're welcome to. And anyone who's interested, they can just go to hogarthglobalastrology.com. I've actually got a deal on at the moment, actually, believe it or not, 20% off. So if you do all uppercase, Hogie 20, so HOGIE 20, no space. And because one person did it and they were like, I tried to use the code, and they done the H uppercase and the rest lowercase, but it's case sensitive. So all uppercase, Hogie 20, and that will get you a discount. And
Okay.
but yeah,
Awesome.
I do archetypes as well. I do look at people's archetypes, fate and destiny. It's quite a broad mix, but then people will like the same client will come back multiple times and they will just have different things. I also do tarot as well. Love doing the tarot, and of course I often combine it with the astrology as well, and I refer to astrology as vertical knowledge. So it is because it's dealing with the sky, and that is very good for timing and energies and the narrative that is unfolding. I refer to tarot as horizontal knowledge. Tarot will give you an idea of what is going on around a subject. So sometimes you can ask a specific question to tarot, and the tarot may answer something else that needed answering first. Sometimes you have to ask the same question twice to the tarot, because the tarot will pick up what is most pertinent around that person and around people in their lives. And you have to be open-minded with the tarot, because it will often bring through a message on something that the person may not even been expecting to talk about. And you as the reader have to be able to interpret when the tarot are answering the question and when they're answering something else. But when you combine it with the astrology, chef's kiss. I just love it. It works really well.
I have to say, and I'm totally not trying to blow smoke up your butt or anything, but you are one of my favorite tarot readers of all time. Like, I love how you read the cards, how you read the energy, and just like how you see so many nuances, and you're very eloquent as well. So I feel like what you see out of the same card that I would be looking at would be completely different. And I mean, probably still kind of on the same point, but yeah. And I remember when the first episode you did where you're like, well, I'll just pull out some cards. I'll, pull 3 cards. We'll see what happens. And even on that first try, you were so right on. It was great. I loved it. I was rooting for you.
Thank you. I mean, I do love the tarot, like, and I think it's become sort of like a bit of a formula now, and I can understand why, but just for me, because obviously, as you know, I am a professional astrologer. You know, I have been doing this since I was 8, but I love what the tarot rings and I love what the astrology brings. And when I blend the two together, you really can get some very profound answers. But I think what helps me, I really do believe what helps me is the astrology, because if you can imagine,
yeah,
I have to look at a chart like this, and this is before I even done the drishti, but I can't interpret what's going on in someone's life just based on a bit of ink in a box with a number.
right.
So in a way, it's like the astrology makes me work so hard, and of course I can do it. So then when you're dealing with like sort of like pictures, it's like I can see the extra things in the card, and I always read it as a story as well, because when you pull cards, they are all saying something. Each card will speak on its own, but another card, its meaning will modify depending what comes before or after.
Yeah,
And then, of course,
that's
as you know,
right.
sometimes as well, I like to read the card backwards as well. If I want to see the other person's perspective, very often I will read the cards backwards. So if someone was asking me about Netanyahu the other day, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. So I read the cards that way, and you could see the agenda. And then when I read the cards backwards, it was his perspective of what he was trying to do. And it works. And I don't think many people do it. It was just something that just came up naturally. So you can read the cards backwards as well if a person really wants to.
I'm going to try that. I'm still kind of a novice as far as the cards are concerned. I pull I'll just pull a card a day and ask my teams to give me a card to contemplate the energies for myself. And then I just pick a card.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe I'll start doing that. I have a question. What is a dragon rider?
That is a good one here. And someone's just saying here, Belinda McLean, hey, I'm reaching out regarding, she says, hey, Belinda McLean is saying, hey, I'm reaching out regarding a booking for a reading on the 11th. I have not read a confirmation and I'm in a panic. I've emailed twice. I'm in Australia. Please confirm. Belinda, let me just see. I'm sorry. Oh God, I won't do this now. I'll check after. Belinda, I'll check after. Sometimes with my website it doesn't give the confirmation, but it should be there, so I'll do that. I'm sorry. What was your question again? Sorry.
What is a
dragon rider? Is that what?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is one that's not in the books. Yeah, this is one that is not in the books, and it is to do with the nodes of the moon. Yeah, it's to do with the nodes of the moon. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a little note, otherwise I will forget. Let me just put here Belinda McLean. Belinda McLean. I'm certainly a lot better at checking my email now, so it should be in there somewhere, so we'll double check. Anyway, so if we think of the nodes of the moon, Rahu and Ketu, or north node and south node of the moon. Rahu is the north node, Ketu is the south node. Once upon a time, there used to be one entity which was called Swabanu. Okay. Swabanu was one of the demons of the world. So you had the devas and the demons, and they were in a competition. They had to churn the Milky Way. So that lets you know the ancients understood the Milky Way in the cosmos. And they were looking for this liquid of immortality called Amrita. They stirred and they stirred, and all sorts of things came out, poisons, this, that, and the other, and some of them died, but they kept on going. And then Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth and intelligence and stuff, she came out, and all this, that, and the other. Eventually, imagine this Amrita, percolated out. And they were like, and they started fighting over it. That fight was so intense because it was the Deva and the demons, so the Devas are the planets, that Vishnu, who was asleep on the multi-headed dragon, on the multi-headed snake, Ashish Asidesha, I think it is. I may have mispronounced that. He woke up and he was like, oh my God, they're fighting. And he's like, what am I going to do? So what he did was he turned himself into the beautiful goddess Mohini. And he came down on a cloud. So imagine between like Beyonce and Elizabeth Taylor or something, wind machine coming down. Yes. And all the demons were like, they were like, Mohini, Mohini, make love with us, dance with us, blah. And they were intoxicated by her beauty. And she's like, all right, everyone. Look, I've got the Amrita here. Form 2 lines and I will dish it out. And they were like, yes, goody, 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 goody. So to the Devas, she gave the Amrita, but to the demon, she gave water. And Swabanu was further down the line, and he was more intelligent than the other ones. He's like, this is a trick. I'm going to go to the other side. So he disguised himself as a Deva, and he hid between the sun and the moon. And he pretended, and Mohini came to him, and he drank the liquid, of immortality. No sooner as he drank it, the sun and the moon informed on him and said, Vishnu, Vishnu, this isn't a Deva, this is a demon. Vishnu then transformed from Mohini into his fierce form, which is Shiva, and he threw his disc and cut off the head of Swabanu. But it was too late. The liquid of immortality had reached the body and they'd become immortal. Rahu is the severed head. And I call Rahu gobble, gobble, because he always wants more stuff. Rahu really wants the world. He wants fame, luxuries, sex, drugs, alcohol, the whole shebang. This is why Rahu is associated with politics. Look how insatiable and greedy the politicians are. And guess what? Like I said, America is in a Rahu Dasha. So it means the energy of Rahu is very present in the United States right now. What do we see? Greed, 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 greed.
Makes sense.
Lying and cheating. Ketu is the severed head of Swabanu, a severed body of Swabanu without the head. Ketu is the Mokshakaka. He doesn't care about the world at all. This is why he deals with geeks, and mathematics and all of this kind of stuff. But he can also deal with weirdos, Because what is Ketu? Because it has no head, it's like an open trapdoor to the mystic influences. They say where the blood fell on the ground, garlic and onions grew up. And what makes someone a dragon rider is this. Whenever I see the nodes of the moon in each other's nakshatras, either their own or each other's. So the planets, there's 27 nakshatras. The embodied planets get 3 nakshatras each. So Rahu's got 3, Ketu's got 3, Jupiter's got 3, Mars has got 3, etc. Whenever I see the nodes of the moon in their own nakshatras or each other's, I found the head goes back on the dragon, and I call it Swabanu. And it means that that person will live a very unusual life. They can never live a conventional life ever, because they're on the back of a dragon. Swabanu is back, they're in their nakshatras, and it truly is like that. This is why I came up with this concept, because I'm like, oh my God, when the nodes of the moon are in their own nakshatras or each other's, the person has an extraordinary life. They also
does it have
something called Kala Sarpa Yoga. So go on.
Oh, I was going to ask, so do they actually have some sort of energetic connection to the dragons? Like, is it easier to connect with them? Because really Rahu and Ketu were a dragon. They were a serpent. This is why you will see with a lot of cultures, they keep talking about the dragon in the sky, the serpent in the sky. A lot of ancient cultures referred to Rahu and Ketu as a dragon, as always this serpent.
But it's this serpent of fate and destiny. And it's just when they're in their own parts of the sky, dramatic things happen, particularly when they're in the signs of Ardra and Mula Nakshatra. And Rahu and Ketu are known to, part of the shadow, what they know is to cause pandemics. Yeah, they deal with pandemics. And it takes them 18.5 years to return back to their original sign. That's how long it takes them to go around the zodiac. And when they're in the nakshatras of Ardra and Mula, which is in Gemini and Sagittarius, great upheavals happen in the world. And the last time they were there was 2020 with the big pandemic that happened across the whole world. And Saturn, was going into sidereal Capricorn, rules and regulations. He becomes very strict when he's in Capricorn. What did we have? We had lockdown across the whole world. Yeah. Right. So that is what it means to be a dragon rider. Is when Rahu and Ketu have full dominance in the chart. And you can also get as well with Kala Sarpa Yoga, when all of the planets, it doesn't apply to the outer planets. It doesn't apply to Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto, or Ceres and Chiron. But when the embodied planets are on one side of the nodes of the moon, it means Kala Sarpa Yoga. It means a very unusual life. And there's someone in the White House right now who has Kala Sarpa Yoga. And that's a certain Declarant or Trump. Yeah. Means great ups and downs.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, sir.
I can't believe the time's gone so quickly. It's an hour.
Yeah. I was wondering, I have one more question and then I'll let you go. Do you want to hear one last question?
Sure. And someone here is talking about this person here, SSS, says clairaudience is extrasensory perception and schizophrenia is the definition by mental health specialists for split personality is two different incomparable things. However, in Africa and certain societies, they're not afraid of schizophrenia. They say that the person is touched and gifted and that they should be a shaman. So, yeah. And then Estelle is saying, society is misunderstanding them. My brother was schizophrenic. He was constantly having conversations with others that we could not see. Yeah, they can see the invisible world.
Yeah, that's the point I was trying to make.
People that are dead, like my mum could see all of them. Yeah. Right. So sorry, what was your question again? You said one more question.
I have one last question for you, and it's about the archetypes, because I know you do. There's a reading where you pick cards, and then according to the cards, there's an archetype on each card, and that you have a discussion about the different archetypes that you work throughout your life, and how every person is kind of born with this set of archetypes to work through. So I was wondering, how do archetypes play into our life's lessons, and how does one work with them?
Oh, you're just breaking up a little bit there. Sorry.
Oh, am I?
You said, how do archetypes play into our life's lesson? And then there was an extra bit. Yeah, if you could.
Oh, just how do you work with them? How does one work with their archetypes?
So what I use the Caroline Myss deck. Yeah. So it's not my own deck, but this is, and I, give credit when credit's due. This is her deck here, but I use a very interesting technique. I use a 12-house system. Oh, she's incredible. So I created my own thing, TM, which I call the archetypal blueprint. Like, this is one of my clients this week. And, this client has got the gambler, the alchemist, the knight, the judge, the priest, the pioneer, the avenger, and the scribe. Yeah. So they choose 8. And then there's the survival archetypes that we all have. We all have a child archetype, and they have to choose which one. And then we have the saboteur. We have the victim victor, and we also have the card, which I call the courtesan card, which is the prostitute card. Yeah. That's, some people don't like that word. But and I put those together to create 12, because there's 12 houses of the zodiac. I shuffle those cards and I get my clients to pick the position of the cards. I go into this bag here, and in it, it's got numbered tokens, yeah? And I hover the token, the cards are face down, and they tell me where to drop. That for me is the master stroke of it as well, because what it means is I can't project onto my client what I think their archetypes should be. Most importantly, my client can't project onto themselves. It's their higher self that chooses the placement. And based on where the cards come out in my 12 house system, I do 2 lines of 6. The top line is their public life, things that are known about them. The lower line is things people don't know about them, things they may not even know themselves. And where those placements come, I'm able to interpret what their higher self is trying to say to them. That is one of my most profound, I call it my best work, particularly the archetypes combined with the astrology. Oh my God, it always runs over as well. So sometimes I feel exhausted because so much comes up. So these archetypes, where they fall, they give us advice about, I find the archetypes are very psychological, And what I find with this technique, we're really able to dig deep into a person's psyche and pull up the roots, the blockages. This is why, it really works as well for business and stuff like that. So where those cards fall shows us our psychological makeup, and then I can give my clients very good advice based on that. And there will often be correlations between the archetypes and the chart, but really the archetypes, you can actually do it as its own separate consultation. It's that good.
Okay. And these are energies. Yeah, I think it did. So these are energies that we're working with basically throughout our lives, like the wounded inner child or the scapegoat or what have you. And it helps,
but they can change.
Okay.
As well.
Awesome. I can't wait. I really want to get one.
Sounds like some people, like I had a client the other day. Thank you. She kept some of her archetypes, but she added new ones. So it's still the 12, like I said, the courtesan, the saboteur, the victim, victor, and the child. They will always be there, and there will always be another 8, but that 8 can also change because her life had changed. She began to, the previous reading activated new skills within her. And it was really interesting to see how archetypes that she had before, when they changed position, because they changed position. So I break it down, like the first house is like the CEO. Yeah, the first house, this is really what is going on in that person's life. Like this is the archetype that is driving their life at the time. If it's in the 7th house, it's telling me about that archetype in the 7th will tell me about their relationships, etc. The 9th house placed archetype will tell me their philosophies and beliefs, so on and so forth. So it is fascinating. It's some of my favorite work. Even if I'm tired, I still enjoy that consultation. It never gets old, and it's always a mini miracle each one. It's just like, wow. And it came to me via Uranus, came as a download years ago, and I had to run to my, it literally came as a download, and I was like, oh my God. And I ran to my laptop, went straight into Word, and I created this form and all the other, pages. I create, all of this, all the, the definitions, and then the notes, like this is going to be emailed to my client. All of it came down in one download, and I had to get it written down before it left me.
That is
and
brilliant.
It was literally, I know it was a gift from Uranus. Yeah. And voila.
That.
But yes. Wow. Awesome. Can you believe, oh my gosh, it's almost 1:15 now. So
yeah. I'm gonna let you go. But thank you.
Yes.
Hoagie, my new friend, my new bud. Thank you so much for coming on. And I think we should do this again sometime, if you'd like to.
Yes. Yes, we
Awesome.
and thanks for having me on. I really do appreciate it. And thanks for letting
Yeah,
me
you're so
jabber
fun.
away and talk about these things. I hope I gave you enough breathing space.
Oh, I love it.
But I'm so
I love
passionate
having
about
these
this stuff. It really
conversations
is
with
my
you.
life.
Yeah, it is. And you've really given me
Great.
some stuff to think about and some new inspiration as well. So, and to everyone who's watching right now, thank you so much. Thanks for bearing with our technical difficulties and listening to us jabberjaw for an hour and 15 minutes. So I guess we should just end this. I'm not really sure. I've never done one of these before. Should we just, I guess,
Well,
turn it off?
what you do is you see below there's a red square with an arrow in it, and
Yes, sir.
that's how you end it. So I would just say to everyone, particularly if you're from my channel looking here, please of course be sure to like and subscribe to Gina's channel. You know,
Oh,
let's
thank
help her grow a
you.
bit. I think you're doing great work.
Oh,
And
thanks.
likewise,
I
oh,
love
no
it.
problem, of course. Yeah, please like and subscribe. That was a
I'm
very
sure all of the people on my channel are already subscribed to you. So
very
they're
good interview. And of course, and if anyone's not familiar to like and oh, and but yeah, thanks for having me on. It was a pleasure, and I hope
absolutely.
everyone else enjoyed the show as well. So I'll
Me
leave it there.
too. All right. Goodbye, everybody. I am so happy that you guys all showed up. And if you would like to like and subscribe to my channel, I would really, really appreciate it. I love you guys all and have a great night. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ah, is she still on? I'm not sure if she knew how to end. Let me just click off here just in case. Let's see here. Well, you guys might still be watching, so I hope you enjoyed that. So I'll end it there as well. And God, that was fun, wasn't it? So thanks so much, Gina. We'll definitely collaborate again. All right, big love, everyone. Mwah! And see you soon. Cheers.